All right, I wanted to talk Phillies for a little bit as we get closer and closer to spring training, and I have a special guest on today to do that. But then we wake up this morning and we read the reports of what went down with the Sixers game last night. So we definitely have to bring the Sixers into the conversation as well. Trending in the AM, taking your live thoughts and opinions. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow, subscribe on all the social media platforms as we continue to grow this morning show. And if you could tell, I'm a little tired. I'm a little under the weather this morning, just staying up late trying to watch a Sixers game that was just dreadful to begin with. Makes it very hard to wake up at 6 a.m. to get started to do this show. But I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, as always, at Bearded Knowledge. And joining me today from Luke and I on the Phillies and Fox Philly the Gambler, Luke Arcaini. Good morning, Luke. How you doing?
Good morning, man. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I know it's
I
not
know
easy to wake up early in the morning and talk sports, but get some caffeine, get some coffee in, and
yeah,
dude, I was so excited to talk Phillies. I
I
love
know.
listening to you and Sean Brace do your Phillies stuff. And because there's not enough Phillies podcasts going on right now,
Yep.
and I get super excited for spring training. I get super excited for the baseball season, and so I was really excited to have you on this morning. But then the Sixers game happened last night. So, and I was like, how do I break this to him that I want to talk a little Sixers? Before I can even break it to you, you sent me a message. If we got to start with Joel, we could start with Joel.
Like, what are they doing? I. So it's so like, all right. I'm gonna be honest. I fell asleep. Right. I didn't really watch any of the game, but from what it seems like, he tried to come back and play. He played part of the game last night. It seems like he went to the locker room after the first quarter or first half, something like that. And then Jonathan Kaminga falls on his leg in what seemed, I think it was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And there were multiple clips of him trying to jump up in the air and could barely even jump.
Oh, so
He's
the clip of him jumping was after the Kaminga fall?
okay.
I thought it was before the fall.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I think too. Like that video, like the him having his knee fell on, that sucks. That's unfortunate. But when you see him try to jump up for a rebound or a block, and he literally his knee buckles and caves, shouldn't they have just pulled him out of the game right at that spot?
He shouldn't even have been in there in the first. Like this is my issue is that it almost seems like now that which I would sure hope that this is not the case, but it almost seems like now that like the Sixers are going off of this just debate on NBA Twitter. Like that's what it's turned. It's all of this. It's all of this. Oh, he's ducking and he's not playing and he's not going to reach the game minimum. Like, who cares about this MVP at this point? Like, it's gonna suck because it's gonna just prove kind of how this rule kind of stinks. Even though that you would hope the guy who wins MVP can get over that amount of games. When you look back at this season in 5-10 years and you see Joel Embiid averaged like 36, 37 points and didn't win MVP, it's just going to be one of those things you're going to laugh at, right? Because obviously he's not going to win this MVP.
I mean,
He's
at this
not going
point,
to
they
get.
should just shut him down for the next month or two,
Yeah,
and hope he gets healthy. And I know, and Mystic chiming in right away, and I don't necessarily put every comment up when a guest is on here, but this is the problem because like, it's splitting Sixers Nation now. And look, we got Mystic saying it was not Harden and Doc's fault; it was Joel Embiid's fault. And I love you, Mister, but I can't agree with that
I don't buy
one
that.
one second. I totally disagree with that opinion because James Harden came up pretty damn small in the
Harden left
playoffs
because he's
last year.
selfish and he wants more money, and
Exactly.
Doc left because
I think anybody that said he was ducking Jokic can shut those rumors down immediately because obviously his knee has been banged up and pretty much in pain now. Last night proved that for a while, and if anything, he made it worse. I mean, what will you blame? Who will you, if it comes out like he's having it, they already reported he's having an MRI today. If it comes out he's got to have surgery and his season is over and that's it, like, who do you blame? Do you blame Daryl Morey? You blame Nick Nurse? Do you blame Joel Embiid? Like, do you blame them all? Because somebody's got to be held accountable for this.
It's just like I mean, it's probably going to be a group effort there, I would say, but
right.
it would be hard for me to blame Joel Embiid. I don't think Joel Embiid, like, I don't think he's making really these decisions. I don't think he was the one that was the main factor of him going on the injury report 10 minutes before the Nuggets game. Like, I don't think he was the reason that happened. I think he genuinely went out to warm up and he couldn't play. And I'm glad he didn't. And I wish he didn't even play last night. I think it's kind of everyone. I think it's ownership. I think it's your coach, it's your GM, and it's a little bit of him, right? If he knows he can't play, he should straight up just go and be like, hey, it sucks, but I need to sit out the next 4 or 5 games and I need to get this thing right, because we know the only thing Embiid needs now. It's that championship, and it's the only thing people talk about whenever you hear Joel Embiid's name. The first thing that comes out of their mouth is, well, when is he going to win a championship? And right now, if he goes into the playoffs like this, it's good. It's just going to be the exact same thing that we've seen every year.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time of last year or two talking about legacies when it was Doc Rivers and James Harden's legacy. Joel Embiid's legacy, the title's the only thing missing from it. And I don't care that the Clippers are playing well. James Harden will collapse in the playoffs, as always, Mr. Yeah, I mean, it's just a frustrating thing. And sometimes you have to protect the player. So, like, I don't put any of the blame on Joel. When you see that video of his knee buckling when he tries to jump, that didn't just come out of nowhere. Like, couldn't you tell in warm-ups that knee wasn't right? If you tell Joel it's up to you to play or not, 9 times out of 10, a player as prideful as Joel is going to play. Sometimes it's on the coaches and the medical staff to kind of protect the players from themselves, and they obviously didn't do that last night.
No, it's the Sixers are obviously, it seems like they're just kind of throwing them out if they're any sort of healthy. And I think they need to realize that winning a non-conference game out on the West Coast right now is not their biggest priority. I don't think getting Joel Embiid to the 65 game minimum, that should not have a factor when you're playing a 10 o'clock game on the West Coast against the Golden State Warriors when he just missed a game against a way better team, right? If he's obviously too hurt to play against the Nuggets and this big rivalry, and I promise you he's not tucking Jokic. He takes Jokic's lunch money every single time they play. Like, every time. So if he's not playing against Denver and he's not playing against Portland, then why are you throwing him out there against Golden State? Like, it's obvious if you are truly still in the thought that he's only going to miss 3 games the rest of this year. 1, you're out of your mind. 2, and you need to throw that out the window, because it's just not what matters anymore.
Yeah,
and
I'm beyond frustrated. Honestly, I'm just beyond frustrated at this point with it. You know what I mean?
It stinks, because it's gonna be like that Harden MVP like 5 or 6 years ago that everybody knows James Harden should have won that MVP. That was what, 2017?
Yeah,
whatever year that was. But it's gonna be one of those things that you look back in 5-10 years and you're gonna be like, how did this dude not win MVP? And then you're gonna remember the rule, right? It's gonna be one of those things. I mean, he's averaging like 36 points a game right now as a center. It's one of the best first halves of a regular season that we've ever seen. And it seems like he's not really going to get any accolades for it.
And realize that it was a dumb rule. You know what I mean? Making that rule kind of is what put Joel Embiid in this place. And again, I say he doesn't care about the MVP. I'm sure he cares about the MVP award a little bit. It's not his end all be all, but him pushing himself might be slightly because of that. But that rule might have been what put us in this place.
Yeah, and I see. I'm a little indifferent about it for MVP. Like, I get it. I don't want the guy winning MVP to play only like 50 games. I get that. But the 65 game minimum for like first team All NBA, that one kind of that messes with me a little bit. If a guy plays like 64 games and can't make any all NBA team, that's incentives. Like that's like money for your contract. And like that's
not
taking a
We're
lot of
talking
money
tens
from
of
these
millions
guys.
of dollars on the line.
And it was in the situation now for Halliburton, right?
Halliburton's
probably going to make first team All Pro or first team All NBA, but now he's probably not going to be able to because I think Halliburton can miss 3 more games. I think he's under Embiid right now, so like it's tough.
I think they said it's going to cost him about $40 million.
Yeah, and it's going to be into that thing because once you make these first team All NBA teams, then you can go for that max and that big max contract after your next contract's up. It's these guys are going to lose like millions of dollars because of this game minimum.
It's really frustrating. Look, we're gonna continue on this show with more Sixers talking a little bit, but I did bring Luke on to talk Phillies. We are getting closer. We're about 2 weeks away. I can't believe today's the last day of January already. February 1st is tomorrow. That means pitchers. I mean, I bet you some of the Phillies are already down there in spring training in Clearwater, getting their work in. I'm excited for baseball season. I know you love talking baseball. So yesterday, Luke, we had Renee Washington on this show, and we were talking Union. Then at the end of the show, we dove into a little Phillies with her, and I said something kind of as a joke. But then it's been sitting on my mind all day, all night, and I had to start this off as my first Phillies comment with you. Last year, right? Because I know you talk a lot on your show and what the Phillies still need, what they could or should add or should have added, and something that still sticks out that Jake Cave made the last out of the season last year in the playoffs, and our bench is no better than it was last year. I know everybody loves talking about the bullpen and we need arms and stuff, but I can't get out of my head that our bench is just as bad, and there could be another scenario where a Jake Cave-like player is taking the last at bat in a crucial playoff game. Are we still in a bad spot here with the bench with the Phillies?
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily think the bench has really improved. I think the bench for the Phillies has sort of always been an issue. And that comes with not having a ton of hitting prospects down in the minor leagues. They've always been what seems like now a pitching first type of minor league system, at least right now when you talk about your top guys, right? They have Aiden Miller. They have guys like that in a few years down the line will be ready and will come up to start as bench bats. But right now, I think they're definitely struggling on that side of the dugout. Bench bats are kind of hard to find. Those are the guys you kind of throw minor league contracts at and you make trades with for cash considerations, right? You're never really making big free agent signings with for a bench bat. If you do, then he's probably your top guy. So I mean, right now they have guys like Edmundo Sosa. They have guys like you said, Jake Cave. It's tough. I don't necessarily have a ton of names that they could really go out and get to fill the bench. I mean, you can look at those like low kind of middle of the packed, like utility guys / outfielders. But really off the top of the head, you're really going to just be looking for the guys that you can throw these kind of minor league contracts at. And the goal with your bench is to get guys that still have a minor league option. And I think that's kind of their issue right now with a few guys on their team is that they don't have options. So once they're up in the majors, they can't really go anywhere unless they get basically cut. So I think right now it's kind of just you have to keep your eyes open. There's never really like bench bats that are like at the top of anyone's list. It's kind of just the guys that seem to have mutual interest and kind of just end up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the other end of the equation is the bullpen and the pitching and stuff like that. We've seen recently names like Hector Neris come off the market. I keep mentioning his name just because it's a familiar name, and people remember that name. Have the Phillies done enough with their bullpen obviously they've lost Craig Kimbrell, which is fine, and everybody's okay that he's gone. But they're basically rolling out with pretty much the exact same bullpen with a full year of Orion Kirkring, in the pen. Is that good enough when you've got 1 year older Zach Wheeler, you got Aaron Nola, but you've got Ranger Suarez, Taijuan Walker, Chris Sanchez, guys that don't go deep and guys that get hurt often. Um, are we deep enough in the bullpen at this point?
As of right now, I would say no. I think they need, my opinion, they need one more big name. Whether that's a Phil Maton, whether that's a Ryan Stanek, before Hector and Robert Stevenson went, those were two guys that were really at the top. I think my one right now is Phil Maton, coming off a career year. I think the Phillies need kind of another one of those. They have a lot of hard throwing guys, right? They have Alvarado, they have Soto, they have Hoffman. They have these guys that can guess. Maton's not that guy. Maton's going to sit with a fastball around 89, right? He's nothing flashy, but he's going to throw a curveball around 45% of the time. Like that's kind of what he is. He had his best year of his career last year out in Houston, free agent, probably the top guy other than Ryan Stanek left. So that's kind of a name that seems like a Dave Dombrowski move to me. I think if I had to guess, if there was a big reliever that would end up on our roster on opening day, I think it would be Phil Maton. But the thing with the whole X factor for me for the bullpen is Orion Kirkering, and what he can be, because if he can be first half Kimbrell from last year, then your bullpen's almost set. Right. Because you had a top 5 bullpen in baseball for most of the regular season last year. Once you get to those last few games of the playoffs, that's a different story. But if Kirkering and I tend to disagree with that, because Kirkering looked fantastic when he started to come in. When he started to struggle was situations that he never really been through, and I think
he literally had like a month, not even a month of major league pitching, and he was
not even a month
innings of the playoffs. You know what I mean?
And then he's getting thrown in to face like Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies in like under the bright lights of the NLDS, and then he's getting thrown into a game 6 of the end. Like I'm not buying the he's not ready stuff. I'm buying the he needs a full season, a full regular season before he pitches in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, because I think Ryan has made this comment. Somebody's made this very similar comment on this show before.
And I think Rojas is in the same boat. I think Johan Rojas is in the same boat. I think a lot of people kind of got down on Rojas towards the end of the playoffs because he couldn't hit, when realistically he had a month and a half to hit in the regular season, and then he went and faced like all these big arms. Like once you get to the playoffs and you're a rookie, you get to, it kind of just hits you like a truck once you get into the playoffs, because you go from playing teams like the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers to 9 straight games of guys that could win the Cy Young. Like it's tough, and I think that's kind of what happened to Rojas. Once he starts to maybe learn how to bunt, I think he's going to be a lot better in that 9-hole for us. But I think those two guys, I think we just need to give time right now.
Yeah, everybody's got such a negative reaction to Craig Kimbrell's name just because he was burned out by the end of the season, without a doubt. But he did. We don't make the playoffs last year without Craig Kimbrell. He's obviously gone. And I know at the start of the season last year, Alvarado was kind of that closer role. It kind of bounced with Kimbrell before Alvarado went down and Kimbrell just took it over. Is Alvarado the closer to start the season?
So that all depends on who they get for me. To start the season,
I love Alvarado in that setup high leverage role that Rob Thompson seems to use him on in the playoffs. I love him in that position.
So I do too. What I don't love is not having a steady guy behind him. I listen, if you have to throw Jose Alvarado in the 6th, 7th inning, that's fine with me. But I need to know that somebody almost just as good as him is able to be out there in the 9th inning. And that sort of was the issue last playoffs when you had to put Alvarado in the bottom of the sixth or the top of the seventh, right? Who's going to throw after him? Are you going to throw Kimbrel, who is obviously falling apart right now, and rightfully so? I did feel bad for Kimbrel. I get it. He had a bad few games and it sucked, but it stinks because I don't think anybody expected him to have to throw that many innings. That's the most innings he's thrown since 2017. There was the third most innings he's thrown in his entire career, and it's his 14th season.
I've said it
60.
multiple times. It's a big loss losing Craig.
It is, yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
I
Really
think as just an innings guy, Kimbrel had I think three bad moments in the playoffs, but before that he went 20 what? How many saves did he have in a row before the season? Like
that's the thing. They didn't have a good enough depth once some of the injuries hit. So Kimbrel, if you look from I think it was mid-June to the beginning of August, the amount of innings he threw in that stretch compared to the rest of the year, he was out there 4 or 5 times a week throwing. At his age, he shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, it was nearly every day because your bullpen was banged up. Alvarado was back and forth in the IL. Kimbrel was almost basically out there every day, like you said.
Yeah.
So he was a first half workhorse. And I think you're gonna miss the innings. That's why I'm still in the boat that I think you need 2 relievers. Whether if it's one big one guy that can just eat up a 5th inning for you if your starter comes out, that's fine. But I think we saw that at the end of last playoffs. I think we'd rather have more relievers rather than less relievers.
Absolutely agree. I want to get on because I see Mista's comment about Schwarber and the leadoff thing, and I know it's a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but I compare Alvarado in the high leverage situation versus the closer role. I know you're a young baby, you're not old like us, but I compare him to the Ryan Madsen era in Philadelphia.
Yep.
He was a great setup man and leverage situation guy. When Brad Lidge after 2008 got banged up and was missing time, they tried to make Madsen the closer. He was good at it, but he wasn't great, and they missed him in that setup role, and they were never able to find that right spot for him after Lidge, after Lidge's 2008 season. So I kind of think that he needs to stay away from that closer role, which means then Dombrowski needs to make a big move for a closer.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of what we saw the last few years that we had Hector Neris. I think the issue with Hector to so many people was that the only issue people ever had with Hector was that he blew the 9th inning. And what people were trying to say for so long is that he's not a 9th inning pitcher. Right. He was great in the 7th inning whenever he came in. He was great in the 8th inning whenever he came in. But then he came in the 9th and he just never had it. He was never a 9th inning guy. He had it here and there, but most of his collapses were that 9th inning. And there's times there's guys that just aren't made to pitch in the 9th inning, and that's okay. Not every guy needs to be a closer, and not every guy can be a closer. And I think luckily we have a guy like Alvarado who can hold a 1.7 ERA and throw 100 miles an hour and pitch wherever you throw him. But that's not everybody. And I think we need to realize that if you have a guy like an Alvarado, maybe it's good to keep him in that role. And that's leading to if you're able to find a closer. And if you can find a set closer, that's fine. But as long as you have the Phillies need to go into spring training with multiple guys that can throw the 7th inning, multiple guys that can throw the 8th inning, and multiple guys that can throw the 9th inning.
I agree with you 100%. And I see a lot of great comments. I've only got about 10 more minutes here of Luke's time. So I want to fire off a couple more topics, and I will touch on some of your questions. The next topic, and I do want to address Mista saying doesn't understand the Schwarber in the leadoff. And this is something that I was all prepared to just accept Schwarber the leadoff hitter this year if that's what Rob Thompson does. But then I saw somebody, I don't know if it was you or another, Phillies, content creator that I heard say it. He's not going to be the leadoff hitter. You signed Trey Turner to be the leadoff hitter. Now that Trey Turner's back to being what we expected, is Trey Turner going to be the leadoff hitter and probably should? Maybe that's the way they go. Or are they going to go Schwarber 1, Turner 2? I don't know. We'll have to see what Rob says. But is Trey Turner moved back to the leadoff spot like he was supposed to be this year?
I don't think so. I don't. I think Schwarber stays exactly where he is. I think your opening day top four is Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos.
Okay.
At least for opening day.
Okay.
I think there's too many just in your face numbers that I get it, and we can sit here and say they lost to the Astros and they lost game 6 and 7. They win games when Kyle Schwarber's in the leadoff spot. Like it's that simple. They have like a 750 winning percentage when he's in the leadoff spot. He has the most home runs of his career in the leadoff spot. Like he's the most comfortable there. It seems like the guys love him there. Like it seems like he loves hitting there. It seems like Rob Thompson loves to have him hit there. And it seems like all the players on the team, like they're in for this lineup. And I think if you can, right, you want your guy that hits the most home runs ideally to not be in the leadoff spot. Right. I get that. But the most important thing for me is that these guys are comfortable or where they're at in the lineup, because obviously the more comfortable you are, the better you're going to hit. Right. So, and if Kyle Schwarber says, hey, I want to hit in the leadoff spot, and Trey says, hey, I want to hit in the 2-hole, then boom, done. There's your opening day top 2, right? That's not a problem for me. I've always been pro Schwarber leadoff. I think obviously down the line, I think we all know that Trey is going to be the leadoff hitter eventually, unless Trey gets really comfortable in that 2-hole and at the end of Kyle Schwarber's contract, maybe it's a little bit of Stott. Who knows? But
I love that. I've been preaching since the first time he got called up. I've been preaching that kid has got leadoff hitter potential written all over him, Bryson Stott. It makes me happy that someone else notices that.
He is your like, if you looked up leadoff hitter in the dictionary, it's 100% Bryson Stott. That lefty, and there's nothing I love more as well than a lefty being my leadoff hitter. I don't know why. There's something about it that I just love. But I don't think Schwarber's going anywhere out of the leadoff hole. I know it's such a mixed thing with the Phillies.
You know what? I made a promise on the show yesterday. I said I am not going to overreact to April struggles for the Phillies or Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff spot, because I always overreact. I always panic and say that they didn't do enough. I'm going to do everything in my power not to overreact.
Yeah, and I hope that's something that they're hoping to change this year, because I know there was a comment of how do we beat the Braves for the division title. Yeah. It's as simple as having a better April and a better May. They're the best team in baseball in June every year. They're a really good August team. How do you get off to a hot start? One, having Bryce Harper for a full season, that's definitely going to help you. Because obviously we didn't have Harper back until I think it was May something last year. So I think having 145, 150 games of Bryce Harper is definitely going to help your record. And it's tough. You're kind of in one of those situations where baseball's divided into these divisions, and you just happen to be in the division with probably the best regular season team in the entire league. Who I think the Dodgers could overtake them, but we haven't seen that insanity going on in Los Angeles out on the field yet. So we'll see, but it's tough. It's just hard for them to win the division every year strictly because who they're going up against. But the easy solution to that is just getting off to a better start.
Yep. So 2 more quick questions here before I get you out. So obviously we extended Nola. We got the deal done with Nola. That extension last year lingered into spring training, and then it didn't get done. And I kind of feel like that might have been part of the reason why Aaron Nola had a slow start last year. Well, the conversation this offseason is Zach Wheeler. The Phillies want to get him extended before the season starts. A, should they extend him? B, what kind of a deal would you expect it to be? And could it be a problem if they don't get it done soon enough?
Yeah, I don't know. I
know they're different type of personalities, so it might affect Wheeler different than Nola, but I still think that was a little part of his struggles last year.
Yeah, I don't think the Wheeler. I'm not worried about the Wheeler extension. I mean, I would love for them to get it done now. But I don't think that's going to be something we're going to go into next offseason if it doesn't happen. Be worried about like, oh my gosh, he's not coming back. I don't think Zach Wheeler's going anywhere. If Dave Dombrowski's not going to let Aaron Nola walk, he is sure not going to let Zach Wheeler walk. And I think he knows that. And Dave Dombrowski has been he's had some questionable moves at the deadline and stuff like that, specifically last year's deadline. But he's been everything we've needed for a while. He's willing to spend the money. And listen, I think the Wheeler contract is going to be big. It's going to be big as it should be. I don't think it's going to be a crazy amount of years, which I don't think it should be. Right, Wheeler's now 33, I believe. So do you want to give a 33-year-old an 8-year contract? I don't. I sure don't. Granted, if you give Wheeler a 4-year contract and by age 38 he still looks great, then yeah, let's give him another one. But I don't necessarily want to lock him into that right now. So I mean, if you look at the top pitcher contracts right now, Max Scherzer makes 43.3 a year. He's not going to get over that. Verlander, the exact same number. He's not going to get over that. Garrett Cole, 36. Jacob deGrom, 37 a year. I would find it hard to believe if he makes more AAV than those guys. But then you get down the line to like Steven Strasburg, who's still getting paid money by the Washington Nationals. Guys like Strasburg makes 35. Tyler Glasnow makes 27. Yamamoto makes 27. Rodon makes 27. So if Wheeler goes into this contract and says, hey, I want 5 years, $160 million. I mean, you have no choice. You have to give it to him. Like, I think the price for Wheeler is going to be around 30, 32 a year, maybe. I'd
be very happy to be able to keep it at a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
That would be my goal as Dave Dombrowski, to try to get him to accept 3 or 4, but I would go to 4. 5's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. So right now, Aaron Nola makes 24.5 a year. If Zach Wheeler right now makes 23, he had a 5-year 118 that will obviously expire after this season. Right. My best guess would be around 30 per year. Whether that's 4 120, 5 155 in that range. It's going to be around. I mean, he's going to be a top 5 AAV pitcher in baseball once that contract's signed.
All right, real quick, 30 seconds. Are you pro or anti Utley Rollins in the Hall of Fame?
I'm stronger on the case of Utley. I think Utley has more of the resume, and I think me personally, when you think that 2000s Phillies, I think Utley before I think Rollins. I think Utley. I do think he eventually gets in. I don't think Rollins gets in. I think it's a harder position to get in at shortstop. I think Utley has more of a case. I think he's still more in the game. So if there was one of the two, I think it would be Utley.
All right, gotcha. So we got Luke Arcaini, Fox Sports The Gambler in Philly there, and Luke and I on the Phils with Sean Brace. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. I know you got to get to work. What do you got happening this week or the rest of the week that people can find and listen to you on?
I think we're possibly going live Thursday night. We'll be live one day this week at some point. It'll be on Twitter at Arcaini Luke. So it'll be all over there. But everything on the Gambler, Luke and I and stuff.
You guys do great work. I mean, I kind of feel like in the last 6 months, Sean Brace and the crew there have gained so many new people and so many new shows there. It's must listen to content. I got it on the pizza shop. I own a pizza shop, and I got the Gambler on the YouTube on TV all day long listening to you guys. So you guys are doing great work.
Love it, man. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Luke. And you have a good one. All right, my man.
Thanks, on you too.
That was Luke Arcaini on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. Talking Phillies, talking all different kinds of things there. I saw the comment. Bill Matz is tomorrow. K1, where was it? Yeah, no, not Bill Matz. Bill Matz will be on tomorrow. But yeah, guys, we're gonna get back to the Sixers in a few minutes here. I want to. I couldn't get to them. I had an 8:30 out time. Ran out of time. Had to get through it. I'll text them and I'll ask them. Godfather or Goodfellas. We'll get to. I can't get that on every single guest, but I want to run through some of these older comments here to wrap up some Phillies talk, and then we'll get back to Sixers. We'll talk a little bit more about Joel Embiid. I wanted to talk about the trade deadline, but the knee is something that we have to get to. And Brett, I will bring up your comment later when we get back to the Sixers. Where are some of these comments? There was quite a few that I wanted to get to. Rojas was a 300 hitter and clutch prior to the playoffs. I agree. Sometimes rookies, and this goes to the Uriah Kirkring, they're just not ready for that big moment yet. That's the problem with having young and rookies and trying to develop your young while you're trying to contend for a title. Some of these guys just aren't ready for that moment. And, maybe Rob Thompson showed too much faith in Rojas in the playoffs. Maybe. But there weren't many other options. And yes, I do know he bulked up a lot. Hopefully, spring training, he gets a lot of work, and we see some more place discipline and stuff like that at the plate, because there's no doubt he's a great outfielder. He's a great center fielder for us to have. It moves Marsh over to left field. It makes Marsh the best defensive left fielder around and a great 8-hole hitter for us. So I hope he works out for us for sure. And the Kyle Schwarber leadoff thing, I was surprised what he said. I see a lot of people pushing for the Trey Turner to be leading off now that he's fixed, and move Kyle Schwarber down to the 5-hole or whatnot. I just feel like, Mister, I am going to do what I do. I'm going to try not to do what I do and overreact. So if Rob Thompson comes out and says Kyle Schwarber's our leadoff hitter to start the year, I'm going to try my best not to overreact and not to freak out. That's just what I'm going to try to. I can't guarantee I will. We definitely need more pitching, period. Any kind of pitching. We saw that one already. Yeah, he seems like a baby, but yeah, it's okay. How do we beat the Braves? I don't know. No slow starts. People do say Schwarber also leads off once, but let's remember he gets. Yeah, there's that too, and comfortability is a part of it as well. The whole team struggling early is a thing. Trade Kyle Schwarber for a good reliever and or a 4-starring pitcher. Mister, I mentioned this last year once or twice during the season at the trade deadline last year. I would be open and in consideration for moving Kyle Schwarber. It would have to be the right player, because Kyle Schwarber is somebody. He's one of the locker room leaders. He's one of the people that everybody respects. He's probably the guy that when Rob Thompson needs to address something with a player, he goes to Kyle and says, "Yo, you go address it first." Bryce Harper's a different type of leader. Kyle Schwarber's probably the top locker room leader / coach guy. So it would have to be a good trade for me to move on from him. But that's it. And I didn't get to it. But Luke strikes me as a Goodfellas guy. I'm guessing that he would say Goodfellas was his favorite, just so you know. Bryce Harper needs to give us 50 homers and 150 RBIs if he's going to be chilling at first base. 150 RBIs is a lot to ask. 50 home runs is a lot. But getting Bryce Harper back for a full season, it's clutch. You're gaining an extra 60 games of an MVP player. I hope he works out at first base. It's great that he works out at first base. Speaking of first base, I didn't get to ask Luke. We ran out of time there about Rhys Hoskins going to Milwaukee and what Milwaukee did with that hype video for him, and taking the bat spike from the Phillies and subbing a Brewers jersey over it. Total violation from the Brewers using our video like that. And I say ours because it does belong to us, all of us fans. But 50 home runs and 150 RBIs is a bit much. But I would love to see Bryce Harper hit 300 again this year. Give us 40 home runs and give us 120, 125 RBIs. I would love to see it. Godfather question must be asked. I guess I've got to ask it of every guest. You know what I'll start doing? I'll just start the interviews. When Bill Match joins us at 9 a.m. tomorrow, if he wakes up, the first thing I'll say, just before we talk Flyers, and before we talk Carter Hart and the whole NHL and Canadian Hockey Juniors, situation, are you Godfather or Goodfellas? I'll ask it first so we don't run out of time. How about that? You can't win friends with baseball. I don't need friends. I don't care about friends. I love baseball. We talk the trending topics. This show is not trending in the Eagles. This show is trending in the AM. The Phillies are trending. Baseball season kicks off soon. We're going to talk baseball. Sorry. We are from time to time. Ran out of time. He said he could be on the show till he had to be off by 8:35, so 8:30 for the wrap up and get him out of here. It worked. Not everybody could just sit here and talk sports every morning for 90 minutes like me. Phil just doesn't get the algo. Yeah, I get the algo. I do. But you know what? Screw the algorithm. As long as the core 12 is here, that's all I care about. Trade deadline also affected by Joel Embiid if he's out for a long time. It's a great segue to get back into the Sixers talk. I did want to talk Sixers and the trade deadline today. That was originally before I woke up to all this Sixers talk. Like, there's talk of major moves and minor moves for the Sixers, Brett. And what do you do? The trade deadline is the 8th. 8 days away, next Thursday. You got to have an idea of what's going on with his knee. This team, if they're going to stay as buyers and stay as contenders, if Joel's going to be back by the playoffs, you got to make big moves. But if Joel is done for the year, you try Tobias and get draft picks. You try to get some expiring contracts. You could trade Marcus Morris if Joel's done for the year. You could trade a whole bunch of guys and start building towards next offseason when you're going to have multiple big slot cap, space, to fill, this team with. You kind of have to. That's a shame. And I know there's people commenting and saying negative things about Joel. Joel, I don't care. Joel is an amazing basketball player. He's an MVP. He's elite. You don't know what you got till it's gone. So you don't move on from Joel. No way. No doubt. And I know there's going to be people all over today saying that. Keep talking baseball. He won't have a channel to worry about. Stop. If you don't want to talk baseball, you know where the X button is at the top of your screen. You can close it out. You might be surprised. Luke might be one of those rare Godfather 3 fans. I highly doubt that. I don't think there's any Godfather 3 fans out there. Carter Hart got I'm not going to say it. But yeah, the Carter Hart situation, had to let the MVP in for a second. The Carter Hart situation, the whole entire situation is sad and frustrating, disappointing. Man, I mean, the Flyers, taking the human element out of it, the organization element, they're screwed because Carter Hart's probably done for his career now. But the individuals involved made some god-awful decisions there. I don't know what goes through their head to do that kind of stuff. And the story, if you read the story about what happened, which more details were released yesterday when the names were released, man, what goes through a person's head? And could you imagine being the victim in that situation? It breaks my heart. And those guys, if found guilty, even if they're found innocent, their careers are over. But when they're found guilty, they should be done. They should. What's up, Eric? How you doing? Hey, the core Horseman 12, Eric, is not supporting me talking Sixers and Phillies today. I mean, I could be like the other radio station and say something stupid like trade A.J. Brown for Patrick Surtain. Stop. I'm not playing those kind of games on this show. I'm talking what I want, when I want. You don't win friends with salad. Homer Simpson. Did Homer Simpson say that? I don't care. Peter Griffin, greater than Homer Simpson. Just kidding. The gatekeeper. Who's the gatekeeper? I'm the gatekeeper. I decide what we do here, not you. Where were you when we needed you, Eric? Yeah, exactly. I do that dance around the kitchen. You can't win friends with baseball. Stop. I don't care. We're going to talk baseball. Drummond is the move. Morey, get you Mega Man head up and figure something out without overplaying your hand. Yeah, I know a lot of people said Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond's getting old. But if Joel Embiid's going to miss, say, 4 to 6 weeks, you go get Andre Drummond right now. You plug and play him in a starting role with Paul Reed as your backup. Hell, if you got to cut Mo Bamba, cut Mo Bamba. I don't care. Mo Bamba ain't doing nothing. You go get a guy like Drummond. You hope Maxey's ankle's better soon. and you got to do it. I mean, somebody yesterday brought up Klay Thompson yesterday in the comments, and I've still been intrigued. And I've been trying to figure it out and think about it. But then Sean Bernard, who I'm going to try to get on next week before the trade deadline, brought up that Kyle Lowry, as a buyout market guy, might be the only move that Daryl Morey makes. And whether we're buying or selling, if the only move to adjust this team, you don't trade for more assets for next year, or you don't trade to make this team better now, and Lowry's the only deal, please, I'm going to be an uproar on this channel. Yeah. Kalen, I'm not here when you want me, but I'm always here when you need. I like it. I had a girlfriend who liked Godfather 3, but she had a thing for Andy Garcia. Well, okay. There's a reason. She didn't have a thing for it because the movie was good. She had a thing for it because of Andy Garcia. And notice you said had a girlfriend. She isn't your girlfriend anymore because she likes Godfather 3. That's probably a breakup offense. I can see that. Yeah. Salute. Phil, I was all in the Phillies, and then they were up 3-0. Yeah, and then they collapsed. Baseball's a long season, my man. It's a long season. So we won't dive deep into the Phillies every day, but we will talk Phillies a little bit every day once the season starts. Vince McMahon is the guiltiest scumbag in the world. Andy Garcia was pretty solid. I don't know. I think Andy Garcia, he's a good actor. He's got some good flicks, but I think he's a little overrated. Like he doesn't have enough great flicks to yeah. I'm the gatekeeper. Who's the key master? I don't know. Do you want to be the key master? Do you want to control me, Big Al? I don't know. I'm the gatekeeper, and I have my own key. Just so you know, nobody gets a key, not yet. Phil acted a certain type of way. He defensive. I love baseball. I would love nothing more to host a strictly baseball podcast and just talk Phillies every day. Maybe someday I would love to do a Phillies pregame live show every day. Problem is I work for a living. This doesn't pay the bills. I would love this to pay the bills. Sean, if you want to hit me up, Renee, if you want to hit me up, anybody pay me full time at your channels that actually pay people, sure. WIP, you want to pay me? Sure. I'll make your channel better. I won't let you put trade AJ Brown for Patrick Surtain out there on your social media. I'll tell you that much. Sparta kick Mo Bamba's butt out of here already. I could put up better stats, and I'm 5'9". Mo Bamba, it's disappointing. I had hopes for him to be that guy. I knew Mo Bamba was going to be the third center, but I thought Mo Bamba could step in and start when Joel would sit. Now, if we're faced with 4 to 6 weeks, or hell, the rest of the season with no Joel Embiid after last night, and Mo Bamba's got to play minutes every night, the season's over. We've already slipped to the 5th seed. We're only 3 games up on the 6th seed. Sixers are in trouble right now. They are. Once promising season is in trouble, and as always, it hinges, we say this every year, on Joel Embiid's health. Now, I'm not saying get rid of Joel Embiid or trade Joel Embiid, which people were telling me that yesterday on Twitter after the show when I made something. Trade Joel Embiid, get 3 or 4 first-round picks and call it. Stop. We're not trading Joel. He's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But you got to look at the past before you go forward. And how do we get what happened in the past not to happen in the future? You protect them a little bit better. Mitch says the medical staff sucks at the Sixers. Yeah. To use a word from L.A. Knight, yeah, for sure. And I don't know. I don't know what to do. But you better figure it out. Vince McMahon, this is one of the times that me and you, TMZ, will agree 1,000%. Without a doubt. Now it's coming out that the reason why years ago Shane McMahon walked away was because for years he tried to stop Vinnie Mac from being a a-hole. And he said no. So he left. No judgment, McMahon. It will be long. That other list that's going to come out, that other list of names of individuals I wouldn't be shocked if his name's on that list. You may know a guy. Well, I'm a guy. I'm a guy that needs to get paid. I'm all about it. I would love to do if I had the time. If I wasn't at the pizza shop, 6 days a week, putting in 50 hours. I'd try. I'm trying to sell my pizza shop. I'm trying to find more employees. Trying to find a lot of things. I just don't find them. I haven't had it work out. But I would love nothing more than to do a Phillies pregame show every single game. I just love baseball. Mitchie Pooh's sighting. Sixers medical staff reacts to social media. Take their Twitter accounts. Yeah. I think we get Drummond if we take on LaVine or DeRozan. I don't want LaVine or DeRozan. Whether we're trying to win a title this year or not, whether Joel is fine in 2 days or not, I do not want LaVine or DeRozan. DeRozan, I don't think is a good fit. He's he's just a spot up 2-point shooter. Plays solid defense. He's a solid player. I just don't want DeRozan. And LaVine, I don't want LaVine. I don't. I don't want him in his contract. I don't. I don't want Zach LaVine. I don't think he's as elite as people think he is. Didn't Sonny's son have a crush on his cousin Mary? That movie? Yeah. I've only seen it like once straight through. I refuse to watch it again. More the other way around and had to make a choice. Yeah. Stop. I couldn't even get, like, I got through the movie once and I've seen it on in bits and pieces. I tried to give it a second chance. I just can't. Medical staff needs to hire Brett since he's such a PT. Brett, you got to hit me up on Twitter and give me advice. Every time I think my wrist is feeling better and I take my brace off for a few minutes, it starts hurting more again. I can actually pick up my coffee cup today, which is a step in the right direction. But you got to hit me up with some private messages on some how to manage my I guess tendonitis in my wrist. I remind you of the Any Given Sunday and the docs in that movie. Was that the medical stuff, right? Yeah. Wasn't there like a corrupt team doctor and the intern or whatever was trying to do legit by the players or something like that? It's a great football movie, but the side story, the medical part, it wasn't the main story. It was like the side story. It doesn't get dove into, and that stuff does happen in a lot of sports for sure. They are warriors. You can take the game away from them. You can't take the game away from them. Give the all clear. Everyone join the chat. Baseball talk is over. No, I mean, I wanted to get people's opinions on the Utley Rollins Hall of Fame. We never really talked my Hall of Fame picks. Love that. I disagree with Luke saying that Utley deserves it more than Rollins. I mean, Utley does, but I think Rollins deserves a Hall of Fame nod, honestly. I really do. So we can still talk baseball. We can talk more leadoff hitter. I love his lineup of Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Casti at the top four. So maybe we keep talking baseball just to piss you off. Do pregame from Fox's Pizza Stadium. Dude, I work when I'm at my pizza shop. I can't do shows and work at the same time. Hey, guys, the Phillies lineup is, oh, hold on. I got to answer the phone. Or hold on, guys. Pause on that. I got to go. Instead of talking pitching matchups, I got to go make a pizza. Can't do that. Bulls want to offload DeRozan and LaVine. I think that's the cost because they would know they have us over a barrel. That's why Daryl's got to be working the phones now, not wait till the last second. Work those phones now. Get these deals done now. I don't want them. That's all I'm saying. Give out the Twitter handle and I'll contact you. Do you not realize that my Twitter handle, and I say it every day, is right there? Beard of Knowledge. Right there, my man. Brett. It's right there. It's the perfect time for a soft reset. You're watching Trending in the AM, guys, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network, live, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button, the follow button. If you want to follow me on any social media platform, if I'm on it, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Beard A Knowledge is how you find me. Just so you know. Make sure you hit that like button. Now, I don't know how many likes we got on this video so far, but I'm assuming because of the algorithm, not enough. Yeah, shoot. I just did a reset on my other screen. We got 7 likes on this YouTube video right now. That's disappointing, guys. I know Phillies aren't popular, but you can still hit the like button. So there you go. You know how to find me now. Phil's wrist, tendonitis, I'm sure. Yeah, there we go. The joke. I take DeRozan and Drummond. It would probably cost us Harris. You know, I forget who it was that brought up Klay Thompson yesterday, and I did a couple trade scenarios after the show. Klay Thompson, man. I would take Klay Thompson on this. If we're going to go all in and still try to win, if Joel is not out for the rest of the season, I'm going to get Klay Thompson. And I'm using Harris and his contract, an expiring contract, as the money aspect of it. I'm throwing in Springer. I'm trading Springer today. He had a great game last night by the box scores. Again, I didn't watch the whole game because it was so late. But the box scores tell me he had a great game. I'm trading Springer, and there's rumors that some teams out west are high on KJ Martin. So I'm trading Martin and Springer, second-round pick or two, Tobias Harris. They can unload Klay Thompson. Golden State ain't going anywhere this year. Get some young players. That's what I'm doing. That was you, Mitchie Poo, that said Klay? I'm telling you. I thought it was weird at first. Then I looked up his stats, and somebody crushed. I put it out on Twitter. I couldn't remember it was you yesterday. And I put it out there, that people are bashing that Klay Thompson isn't what he used to be. He's 33, 34 years old. Of course he's not. He's had 2 devastating injuries, of course. But the guy is having his worst year shooting, and he's still shooting almost 39% from 3 on almost 9-shot three-point attempts a game. So he's still a really, really serviceable three-point shooter, guy that can get buckets, and a guy that's got championship pedigree. You know what championship pedigree means? A team that can't get over the hump. You go get the only reason why I would consider Kyle Lowry is because he's won an NBA title before, and he's played with Nick Nurse before. You need a guy that's got an NBA title on this team that knows how to win, that can still produce. Kyle Lowry can't produce. Klay Thompson can produce and can be on the field in crunch time, the court in crunch time. The intriguement that you gave me on this, Mitch, and then after the show and I thought about it, I'm all on board. If Joel Embiid is not done for the year. That's all. All these decisions, whatever the MRI is today, whenever they release that information later today, tomorrow, that's all I'm waiting for. I don't care about anything else anymore. What's the situation with Joel Embiid? I really had high hopes after the start of this season that the Sixers would be able to make a very deep run. Now I don't know. Phil, baseball, something. When I say baseball, do you hear the teacher from Charlie Brown? Wah, 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 wah. Is that what you hear when I talk baseball? You'd rather listen to me talk golf than baseball? I'm slow in the morning. Can I blame my kids? No. I slept like 3 hours last night. I'm up here doing this, and then I got to go work all day at the pizza shop. Wah, 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 wah. That's when TMC comments, all I hear is wah, 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 wah. If Joel's out for the year or an extended period, Morey might just punt this year. That was always his plan. Yeah, I don't know about the word punt the year. They were never going to punt the year. But this was definitely a transition year because it's the last year you can get off the Tobias contract, new coach, new system. It wasn't the all-in year. So if Joel Embiid is out for more than 4 weeks, you might want to consider doing some selling. And I don't know who's sellable on this team. Obviously, Harris's contract might be helpful to unload to somebody. Marcus Morris might help. I know everybody loves him on the Sixers because of his personality and what he brings to the table. But if we're putting on the rest of the season, there might be some trade value in trading Pat Beverly to a contender. He only signed a 1-year deal, so I would be on board with that too. There's some tradable assets if you're putting on the season. Just saying. The Godfather trilogy was based on the Luciano family, started by. Yeah. I was trying to explain the, Godfather 2 and how the immigrants, from Italy would come over to Ellis Island and that whole backstory. I know my Italian side did the same exact thing at some point. To be honest, yeah. Well, for the first 30 minutes when I had a guest on, we put very few comments up. To be fair. And I take the comments off. And I say, beginning and mid-show, make sure you follow me on social media platforms at Beard and Knowledge. So no excuses, Brett. Excuses are like a-holes. Everybody's got one. Just so you know. Clay's stat line last night. He was out with an illness. What is it with NBA players and with illnesses? I mean, I feel like a bug is going around the entire NBA. The Sixers are just constantly sick. The players on every team. He was 0 for last night because he didn't play because he was sick. Bad example right there for America. Now, you don't like Clay, that's fine. But don't use his stat line from last night as a reason. So for 9 years, nobody on this team has the balls, can tell Joel that he is not fit to play and he needs to sit down and not get in his way. Yeah, I don't know. I think the last night, in my mind, this is how last night played out, Marshawn. It's just my opinion. I don't know how it played out, but this is my opinion. They were shorthanded. They've been shorthanded for a while. They've got a couple game losing streak. Joel goes out there to test it and see if he's ready. In his mind, he knows he's needed. He feels, I don't know. But then he looks around at his team. He's like, I gotta give it a go for these guys. So I'm gonna tell coach, yeah, I'm good. I can play. I got something in me. That's where the coaches, the medical staff, need to see him and work. When I saw that video this morning of him trying to make a jump and his knee buckling and him falling over, there's no way that was just random. They had to see that in warm-up, said his knee couldn't sustain that kind of play. At that moment, he should have been sat down on the bench immediately. And yes, sometimes you have to protect the players from themselves. Joel and any prideful athlete that actually cares is going to try to tough out every injury they get. But for some reason, Joel tries to tough it out, and it's, he's wrong for doing it. The team's got to step in. You got to sit your ass down. You got to take 2 or 3 more games. I got to put the logo back up on the screen after Luke left. Let me get that back up on the screen. There we go. It breaks my heart. It really does. I was curious as to how the Sixers will let us down. Letting Joel Embiid go out there on an injured knee and aggravate it, and then let him go back out and have someone fall, have like another center fall on his knee. Man. Marshawn, why can't we have nice things in Philly? Why can't we have a nice things with the Sixers? Like, I just don't understand it. Stop drinking some water. I drink a lot of water every day. The Mario Puzo novel was based on the Costello family. Got it. Well, it's the big show. Well, it's the big show. I don't know if you guys saw it. There's a picture that the Jericho cruise. Chris Jericho runs a cruise every year. He gets a bunch of wrestlers. They do events. They set up a ring on the pool deck and stuff. Chris Jericho's under some fire from some personal backstage issues that he's got, which notwithstanding, he re-teamed with Big Show last night on the cruiser. The picture which showed up last night of him on the cruise. I don't know if anybody in the comments ever been on a cruise ship. I don't know if you know who the Big Show, Paul White, is. But I worked on a cruise ship. I've been on cruise ships a lot. I'm a 6'2", 225-pound man. I feel cramped on a cruise ship. Could you imagine being 7'2", 500 pounds and having to go on a cruise ship for days on end? Yeah. Have you ever seen a cruise ship bathroom? I don't know how Big Show would even get in it. Better give that guy a handicap accessible stall. I'm kidding. Not kidding. The great philosopher Liam once said, and I quote, "The best tea is available to." I need to be more of a tea drinker. I really do. I really do. I used to be a big tea drinker at nighttime. A little calm me down tea. Now I drink other stuff at night. Just saying. What is the gatekeepers? I think you asked this last night or yesterday, but I was ignoring all the comments in the comment section when Renee was on. And again, shout out to Renee Washington. Great work from Renee. If I was a submission expert, I would do sharpshooter, scorpion deathlock, whatever. And if I was, and for my non-submission move, as I said the other day when I talked a little wrestling on this show, I would go back to a classic move. I would do a basic power bomb or a basic Arn Anderson spine buster, and that's it. I would go classic. That's what I would do. The Cassell family turned into the Luciano family after Lucky Luciano took over and made the family. There used to be a show. I think it was on AMC. It was like a mockumentary on and every week they would do a different crime family or a crime boss. And it was a really good show. And I don't know what made them stop making it because it didn't look like it cost a lot to do. Lots of interviews with historians on the mafioso. I forget what it was called, but if anybody can remember what it was called, you should look it up. Everybody else, because it was a really really solid show. They did the first episode was on the Luciano family. Luciano, yeah, we really like talking mobster stuff on this show, don't we? On Twitter, someone called him Beard of No. Someone did call me. Was it you that called me Beard of No Knowledge? Um, hey, I have haters. People there are everybody that puts hate on my timeline on Twitter. It's not their real account. It's their backup account because people don't have the balls to show who really dislikes me. They got to come up with hidden names to come at me on Twitter, faceless accounts to come at me, accounts that I can clearly see aren't real or main accounts. Nobody's got the guts to come at me with their real account. And the last one that did, I shut up. Joel is tough as hell. Played 2 playoff series with a fractured orbital. Absolutely. He needs to play about better. But Brett, thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, he's played injured in the playoffs so many times. He had a sprained or torn MCL one year he played on. The broken orbital. That shit ain't easy to play with, Brett. It's not. But you got to get him to the playoffs healthy. That's why I want to know. I know. What is it? It's only 6 a.m. on the West Coast where they played. So we don't know. He hasn't had the MRI yet. I need to know about this knee right now. I'm asking for the Sixers to wake up at 3 a.m., get the MRI done, and give me information now because I need to know. I need to know what the trajectory of the rest of the Sixers season is going to look like with Joel Embiid, whether he's playing or not. New coach, same results. We will never have nice things here. But Marshawn, the people blaming Joel or saying get rid of Joel or move on. Generational talents like Joel Embiid don't grow on trees. Moving on from Joel Embiid is not, you're not going to easily replace him. And you could say, can you win in the NBA with a guy like Joel Embiid, a big man? I don't know. Whatever. But you're not just going to replace him. Do we really want to go back to square one, trade Joel Embiid for 4 draft picks or 5 first-round picks, and start reconstructing this roster all over again? I'm not ready for that. I want to see it through to the end with Joel. I am going to see it through to the end with Joel Embiid. It sucks to say it. We made our bed. Now we've got to sleep in it. We've got to stick it out with Joel Embiid till the bitter end, in my opinion. We will get him. Stromboli leg lock. You're calling it the Stromboli leg. I make a damn good Stromboli, Eric, just so you know. Fox's Pizza Den. About to scroll across the bottom of the screen, guys. My pizza shop. Come see me. Only there till 4 today, but anyway. I make a damn good Stromboli at my pizza shop. Might have to have a sit down. With who? Who do you want to have a sit down with? Feel bad for Big Show. Before his last match, he looked like Richard Keelan. Yeah, man. The guy, he looks better than Andre the Giant did in his last few years as a wrestler. But man, guys of his size, it's tough. He's done a lot to try to get into shape, to even be serviceable in minor moments in AEW. But man, feel bad for the guy. I do. Dan Phil butchered that joke. Availability. I don't even get it. You had one job to do. It went over my head. Sorry, once the comments start rolling in, Eric, try to read the comments. I'm trying to pre-read the comments to screen them. And I'm trying to answer the comments. So sometimes jokes right over the head. Can't believe it. This is a key one. And you know what? Now I have HBO Max. I've been rewatching some Sopranos on it, but I might have to go watch this because I never gave it the time of day, Marshawn. And let me tell you why. I watched the premiere episode of live the night it came out, and I didn't like the episode. I thought it felt forced and rushed the first episode. Now, whenever I tell people that, Marshawn, people tell me that they agree, but they gave it time, and it turned into a great mobster show. And the Atlantic City aspect and the time period thing of it intrigues the hell out of me. Maybe tonight when we get home, Maybe I'll rewatch episode 1 and we'll get into it because I really think I need to give it another chance. No show, and I know this, and I tell people this all the time on other shows. You can't give a show one episode and that's it. But I only gave Boardwalk Empire one episode, and that is a violation on my part, without a doubt. Jeff Hardy had the Swanton. Yes, he did. So, the making of that's the show. The Making of the Mob. That was the show on. I think it was AMC or A&E. Duck. It was. I love mobster stuff. I love gangster stuff. But that was a very. They only did one season. There was talks of a second season, and then they never went back to it. It was a really good show. Phil is like 5'7". Only guy you're power bombing is Hornswoggle. I am 6'2", 225, 4% body fat. Yeah, I wish that. But the other things are true. I more have like the Eddie Kingston body type, just so you know. Where's Luca Brasi? It's Brazzi. It's Brazzi. There's a Sopranos reference right there. All the internet doctors think he is out for the year. I'm not saying he's out for the year, Joel, or not. I'm waiting for this MRI and a report from the Sixers. I'm waiting. That's why I'm saying, is he out 2 days? Is he out 4 to 6 weeks, or is he out for the year? But whatever that answer is, Martian, dictates what we do over the next not even 2 weeks, 9 days. The trade. You got to remember, guys, the trade deadline, it's normally around the 14th of February. It's the 8th this year. They locked this down before the Super Bowl. It's early. So they got 8 days to make a decision on Embiid's health, and his health determines what they do at the deadline. We need an answer. Unknown submission, stump puller used by Doink. Look it up. I'll have to look it up. The Italian mafia messed up when they got greedy and wanted a part of the drug business. All the murders made the FBI pay close attention. Yeah, that's why. That's why Don Corleone didn't want to get involved with that stuff. Who? Embiid problem is not an injury problem as the such. Embiid's problem is a coaching and front office problem. Have we? I mean, we blame the injuries, we blame this, we blame that, but have they? We every year we hope they build the perfect team around him, but every year we find out they did. I don't know what the perfect team around him would be, but the coaching, the front office, the medical staff not protecting him better is a problem. And now who cares about the MVP award? He's not going to get it, now. So you got to get him healthy. Not blaming Joel at all. I'm blaming the organization for malpractice. All right, it's good. I sometimes I don't know where you're going to go, because there are people that blaming Joel. There's a lot of people out there. Go through my timeline yesterday. People telling me trade. This was before he got hurt in the game. People were telling me trade Joel Embiid. Someone said all it would take, he would be happy with 3 or 4 first-round picks, and that's it for Joel Embiid. That's a joke. It's the biggest laughing thing that I've heard in a while. I'm going down with the ship. Said it before. I'm going to say it again. I am going down with the ship with Joel Embiid. I'm not moving on from him at all. Phil is a ride or die kind of guy. I'm not always, but I feel like I've got to become. Somebody's got to become the ride or die. He is with the AEW. He just goes by Paul White, his main name. He doesn't really wrestle that much. I think he only wrestled like 1 or 2 matches in like 2 years. And they were like trio tag team matches and hardcore matches where there's not much for him to do. Phillies City Connect uniform was leaked. Oh, really? I wonder if I can find it. I would love to see it. Phillies Connect. I'm Googling it right now on Twitter. Phillies jersey. Ooh. I do not like it, but I love it. This is just instant reaction from breaking news from Steve Roth. Here we go. This is an interesting baseball conversation because it's not really baseball, but leaked information. The new city. I got to get myself a tee. I'm not going to buy a jersey of it, but I like the blue. I love the colors. I don't like the wording of the Philly. Not a fan of that. The font. I love the patch on the sleeve. The love. And I love the colors. Blues and yellows. I got to get myself one of those if that's accurate. Thoughts on the new City Connect jerseys, guys, for the Phillies? Thoughts on that? We're going to pull that back down. Nucky is a legend. I got to give him a chance. I gave Peaker Blinders 4 episodes. See, that's the thing. I think you can give 4 to 6 episodes is a good judgment, but the first episode's really tough to do. Sometimes you got to give something 2 seasons before you make a decision. You got to give it time, Philly. I need a proper mob gangster series, Peaker Blinders. People talk about it. I've never watched it, though. Um, you could say a lot about Doc Rivers. He made sure he game managed Embiid time, which he got fairly fresh to the playoffs. The problem the front office needs to get a serious C to take some of that. Yeah. When is the Rumble? Was last weekend. Workload off of Embiid. Okay. A very slow Marshawn number of 49-plus win seasons from 86 to 17 to 49 win seasons from 17 to 18, 5 out of the last 6 years. Appreciate y'all why he's here. And I agree with this, Brett. You got to appreciate, win a title or not, and his legacy's on the line with the title. Sure. But win or lose, he's an all-time great. You don't get to see players of his generational talent come through your city in any sport often. And I think fans don't appreciate how elite, talented-wise Joel Embiid is. Yeah, he's got injuries. Yeah, he's got this. Yeah, he hasn't won the big game yet. But it doesn't take away that he's still – Dame Lillard hasn't won a big game yet, big series yet. You know, plenty of guys don't win. It doesn't mean that they're not elite players. And the thing is, people don't appreciate him even remotely close to enough. I would then drop him in a DDT. Like a good classic DDT. They're not making any trades if Joel's out for the year. Maxey will have every chance to earn that super. He's getting the Supermax rookie, Marshawn. He doesn't have to earn it. He's getting it. Plain and simple. You're not letting Maxey walk. Just clear the air there. And you are making trades if Joel is out for the year. You're becoming a seller at the deadline. You're going to try to move some parts and pick up some extra assets and picks and whatnot. You're not going to try to convince the fan base that this team without Joel Embiid and no trades has a chance of winning a title. So they're either going to make a big, bold move to replace Joel, or they're going to just become sellers. Head into a patient once again, everybody involved. Yeah, well, good luck with that patient. Mr. PT, I'm going to call you Dr. Brett from here on out. Okay, when I watched a couple of episodes and it was too dry. I like giving shows time. Is it bad or is it slow because they're trying to develop characters? It's not a mobster movie or TV show. But I always talk about the show The Americans. To me, it's right there with the Sopranos and The Wire. Depending on my mood of the day, I put it above them as the greatest TV show. But the first 3 or 4 episodes, hell, almost the whole first season, there were some slow moments. But they were developing the character. They were developing the mindset of these characters. They were teaching you what makes these people tick. Instead of just jumping in full bore, having shootouts and fights and whatever. And by the time season 2 ended, I had personal connections with every single character in that show. And when there were payoffs for storylines, it meant something because they slowly built to crescendos. So sometimes slow builds are okay, unless it's just dry and boring. But you've got to give it time to figure it out, which is completely not what I did with Boardwalk Empire, which breaks my heart. So didn't help that literally everyone in the series was a total scumbag. Boardwalk Empire, okay. If I was a wrestler, my stage name would be Broad Street Bully, and my finishing move would be the flying left hook off the ropes. Okay, the Broad Street Bully, the Broad Street Brawler. How can we do the Brawler, the Brooklyn Brawler, the Broad Street Brawler? Because Mister strikes me as an enhancement talent. We'll call it. We can't call it a jobber anymore. The enhancement talent Mister would be. He ride or die until 7. Then Mrs. Stiefel says he needs to come in. This organization never knows how to build around their superstar. Only Dr. J's was set up right. But Dr. J wasn't given the perfect team right away. It took a while. It took them bringing in Moses Malone. I was 3 when they won a title, so whatever. But it took a while to get that right with Dr. J. They also had another Hall of Famer, Maurice Cheeks, on the roster. Does Joel Embiid have another Hall of Famer on his roster? I guess he did have James Harden for a little while there. That font is stop. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the font. That font sucks. You could do that with a more classical font. I agree. The colors of that jersey were fire. I blue. Blue's my color. Everything I own has some blue in it. I love blue. Um, but that font, and I love the little patch of the circle. But yeah, the rest of that was great. Fine. Yeah, I got you. I tried Breaking Bad a season, could not get into it. I'm not afraid to admit I've never seen a single episode of Breaking Bad. I respect it's a cultural icon, and maybe someday when I don't own a pizza shop and I have more free time, I will sit down and watch it. But I think Boardwalk Empire would sit ahead of Breaking Bad as something that I've got to give a chance to. Just my opinion. People are asking and expecting first-round picks for bench players. A B trade offer should damn near gut your average team. I want 3 starters and a draft board. You know, the thing was, people want to get 3 picks. Paul George went for like 87 first-round draft picks. Come on. Joel Embiid is better big picture than Paul George. Paul George has got the injury history as Joel Embiid too, so don't bring injuries into it either. I would just keep watching Seinfeld reruns. Yeah, good. So will I. Again, it came up on Twitter yesterday, and I'll reiterate it again. This is for Raider Frank on Twitter. He shared a clip from the Library Cop episode of Seinfeld. Mr. Bookman, what do you know about hard feelings? You what? You don't have any instant crystals in your gut. You keep them there. They're good forever. The scene in the apartment, in Jerry's apartment, with Mr. Bookman, the library cop, is actually named Mr. Bookman. It's like an ice cream a guy being named Mr. Cone. The single greatest scene in the entirety of Seinfeld was that library cop scene in the apartment there. You could tell Jerry Seinfeld was having trouble holding back the laughter. They recorded that scene multiple times because he couldn't stop laughing. Single greatest episode and single greatest scene and single greatest character in Seinfeld history was the library cop episode. Just gonna say, nobody convinced me otherwise. Who has yeah? It's hard to binge watch shows anymore. No Way Harden commands a bigger haul. Every news that isn't Joel related will be treated with a middle finger. I agree with you, Marshawn. Dude, the Philly, who said earlier, trade Kyle Schwarber. Mista did. Kyle Schwarber trade, I would be like, so? I'm waiting to hear on Joel Embiid. That's all that I care about right now. Is Joel a godfather or a good fella? He's a godfather. He's the family boss. He's no consigliere. He's the boss. I think Embiid would have won a championship if he was drafted by a competent franchise. The Sixers was growing with Embiid instead of raising him up. It's an interesting take. Possibly. Yeah, there's a possibility. Ray Donovan was a slow build series that paid off. I didn't like the end of Ray Donovan. I was really hoping for a final season. Actually, didn't he do a final season or they talked about it? Like bringing it back for one season? I don't know. Ray Donovan was a really good show. Ray Donovan's in my top 10 or 12 TV shows of all time. I really liked it. Goodfellas, he's young. Doesn't have the attention span for Godfather. You got to be 40 plus to handle that. Yeah. Peaky Blinders is good, but we are very used to the American mob and what the mob looks like in the UK. Okay, so it's different. Okay, maybe I'd give it a try. Any A.J. McCarron news? Stop. But that's hard. What I'm saying, Phil, they had Mo Cheeks, Andrew Toney, but that didn't stop them from bringing in Moses Malone. Well, the Sixers had players, and they brought in James Harden. It didn't work. I knew James Harden wasn't going to work. I didn't want James Harden. I got hyped for James Harden after it happened, whatever. But I didn't want James Harden. I knew that was the wrong move. You had Jimmy Butler here. You let him walk. I still to this day believe that we would hate Tobias Harris right now. If we just run back that Butler team, the incomplete team, Harris, Butler, J.J. Redick, we don't let anybody walk. We run that team back. Maybe with a new coach, maybe with Brett Brown. That Jimmy Butler is able to get Ben Simmons in check in the offseason. And that team wins the NBA title. I don't want to go back in time anymore. I'm so tired of talking about Jimmy Buckets. But I still firmly believe that team could have won a title if they ran it back. I really do. It's more detailed than the Seinfeld. I never watched an episode of Seinfeld. Are you joking with me? At least you know what it is. Unlike Brian, who works for me. I bet that was hard to keep a straight face. Library Cop episode was elite. It's not elite. It is the greatest. The scene is the greatest. There is no doubt it, K1. The best scene in Seinfeld history. Who did AI have? C-Web, Matumbo. He had Eric Snow and Aaron McKee and George Lynch and Theo Ratliff, Matt Geiger, Keith Van Horn. I can go deep into my bag of tricks there with the Keith Van Horn one. Patient wasn't home. Saw you like the Americans. What's your favorite guilty pleasure show of mine? Mine is People's Court and Burn Notice. Burn Notice is a great show. Burn Notice to me was a show, was basically the modern version of the A-Team and Knight Rider combined. Loved Burn Notice. Loved it. People's Court, guilty pleasures. I watch Johnny Carson reruns almost every single night before I go to bed. That is a guilty pleasure of mine, for sure. And Saturday morning cartoons, I still watch them. Saturday mornings, instead of doing the show, I get up, I make my cup of coffee, I sit in my living room, and I put Bugs Bunny and Woody Woodpecker on. I really do, guys. Every morning on Saturdays. I think you're around my age, Phil. I lived through the Harold Katz era. I'm 43, Brett. If that answers that. Harbaugh, $16 million a year. Wow, that's a lot. Dr. Brett makes house calls. I know. As a house PT, I do. You need to come to the pizza shop and work on my wrist for me. I'll buy you a pizza. You'll fix my wrist. I wanted Halliburton. I did too. I've been saying since Kawhi Leonard's rookie contract, okay, that you need to find the next star before they are a superstar. There's every year on my Facebook memories, a Facebook post before I had Twitter comes up of me saying the Sixers should max offer restricted free agent Kawhi Leonard because he is going to be a stud. And people that knew me on Facebook told me I was nuts. When I would tell people this, they would say I was nuts. You got to find the next star before there's a star. Halliburton was that guy. Should have been. Could have been. This whole trajectory is different. If you've got Halliburton, Maxey, and Embiid versus Harden, Embiid, and Maxey, in my opinion. Maybe you can work on Phil's tendonitis. I think he already DM'd me. I got a missed message. So Phil watches Monk. Monk, nah, I never really got into Monk. Never bought Tony Shalhoub as a lead character. Nobody talks about J.J. Redick missing an open three-pointer in a game 4 to give us a 4-point lead and a 3-1. Kawhi hits a three-pointer the next play, and it was series over. Yeah, that's fine. Sure, maybe it's not talked about enough. But J.J. Redick wasn't the star of that team. Just saying. But I still think they run it back. They win a title. 76ers probably go to top. Josh Harris is just a absolutely great. Without a doubt, Brett. Josh Harris holds his team back. I agree. Jim Carrey, young and up-and-coming comedian on Carson. I've seen that. He was doing all the body contortion. I've seen that. I've seen him appear on Carson. I love watching Carson episodes. I do. LeBron would have elected to retire rather than play with the roster Iverson took to the final. I mean, got to give him credit. Dangerfield and Carson, epic. Absolutely. No doubt about it. I love old cartoons. I grew up watching old school Westerns on Channel 12 and Kung Fu Theater. Yeah. I love old school cartoons. I really do. George trying to get fired was a favorite episode. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great Seinfeld episodes, but nothing beats the Library Cop. Actual name is Mr. Bookman. What are the odds? Sixers have to think about building around Maxey and what that might look like. I get the feeling Embiid's career is pretty much over. His career, mister, is so far from over. You just got to understand he ain't going to play 70 games a year. Joel Embiid at 55, 60 games a year and healthy in the playoffs is all that matters. He's still an elite player. He wasn't a star on that team, but that's what he was brought in to do. Hit threes. I get you. He missed. He missed a shot. Burn Notice was Bruce Campbell too. Yeah, he was great in it. Yeah, he was. It was a combination of all the great cheesy '80s shows in the A-Team. My first dog was named after the A-Team. Knight Rider. huge Michael Knight, one man, can make a difference. I need you, buddy. And MacGyver, Angus MacGyver, yes, I know MacGyver's first name without even hesitating. Great shows. And Burn Notice was like a combo of all of them. And Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't know. I don't search out Everybody Loves Raymond. But if Everybody Loves Raymond is on, but there's not something else on that's got my attention, I'll sit and watch it. I don't hate it. I DM'd you. Yeah. Uh, yeah, exactly. I appreciate it. We'll talk it. We'll talk after the show. Guys, we got to start the wrap up. I've already gone 90 minutes. I know it's 4 minutes. I started early. I tried to give you guys extra value today. I start 4 minutes early. So we're at the wrap-up process of the show. Tomorrow, I will confirm after the show. Bill Matz, 9 a.m. Flyers. We're going to ask him about this Carter Hart situation and this team, the Junior Team Canada situation. We're talking about the Flyers at the it's the All-Star break for the NHL. The Flyers are on a downward tick. What the Flyers should do. I firmly believe the Flyers should be sellers or stand pat. They're not going to win a title this year. I don't care what their record says. That's what they got to do. Danny Briere and company need to map out a plan for goalie now. So we're going to talk about all that with Bill Matz tomorrow at 9. Hopefully we have a Joel Embiid update to talk about tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the stupidity of WIP saying A.J. Brown for Patrick Surtain. It's not that I don't like Patrick Surtain. I'm just not trading A.J. Brown. So they're all things that are on the table tomorrow. Sixers could have gotten Howie, Ender, Mikal Bridges. Yep. Raymond was always on cable TV when I was growing up. Yeah, they don't have reruns of it as much. Law and Order, SVU, or sitcoms. I love watching reruns of Chicago PD and Chicago Fire. They're always on TV right now, like SVU and other things used to be. Patrick Ewing and Mutombo played well into their 50s. Embiid's got time, man. Embiid's not going anywhere. Flyers are showing what they actually are. This was what was exactly stuck. And that's why I'm not going crazy as a buyer. And we'll talk to Bill about it tomorrow. And even if Bill doesn't come on tomorrow, we will still talk Flyers. We will dive into this Carter Hart situation and the Team Canada. It's a sticky situation. But I'm not afraid to talk serious issues on the show. We will cover that tomorrow. Please. I wish. If you missed school, you were stuck with Jerry. I got no problem with Jerry Springer. A good Jerry Springer episode. Always exciting. Guys, we're going to wrap it up right there and extend it 93 minutes. Well, if he doesn't show up, then me and him are going to fight. But, nah. He says he'll be on. And I told him we'll do 9 instead of 8:30. Gives him 30 more minutes to wake up. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button, the retweet button. Follow me on Twitter and all social media platforms at Bearded Knowledge. Thank you to Luke Arcaini from Fox the Gambler and Luke and I on the Phillies podcast for coming on today. Make sure you shoot him a follow. Make sure you check out the entire team over there, Sean Brayson and the crew, Sean Bernard, John Jansen, the whole team over there. They do great work at the Gambler. I wish they had a stronger radio signal reach to listen in the car. But like I said, I do put them on in the afternoon, the 3 to 6 show at the pizza shop from time to time. Guys, have a great day. For Philadelphia Sports Network, I am Phil Stiefel. We'll see you tomorrow. And even though we didn't mention the Eagles today, go Birds.